yo, my ex-girlfriend, she's crazy. All I say to them is, what did you do to make her crazy?
But he hates when I are crazy. So I was doing as what one does, and I was bed rotting in my room, and I come across all these TikToks about crazy girls and manic pixie dream girls, and like half the comments are like, if my girl isn't like this, I don't want her.
Get ready with me to sit in the woods in front of my crush's house and make sure he's not going anywhere. And then maybe I can watch him if he leaves his blinds open.
Like, can you imagine, like, if you met somebody in real life and they were like, oh, I'm gonna just like wait outside my crush's house and wait till and make sure he doesn't leave. Like, I'm sure the TikTok in itself is probably like a meme or something, but it's like the comments are always so like, if my girl wasn't like this, I don't want her. Like, literally half the comments I read on this TikTok were like, oh, like, if my girl ain't like this, I don't want her.
You're crazy. I like that.
But then the controversial aspect of that is the fact that guys will say that, and then suddenly the second a girl is actually crazy, they like fly off the face of the map. Like, I'm not saying it's healthy to do what she did, but it's like, how are you gonna claim you want something and then suddenly you're gonna like turn your back on that?
Like you have reasons for what you do. But when I do it, I'm crazy.
And I don't know how many of you guys have seen those TikToks or seen people commenting those kind of things, and then you stop and question like, well, if guys really want crazy girls, why do they always have like a negative connotation to it? Like, obviously I don't think anyone wants to date a crazy anything, because that, you know, crazy, like if we look at the definition of crazy, the Google definition of crazy is literally mentally deranged, especially as manifested in a wild or in an aggressive way.
Then we have the normalization of the very trendy viral crazy girl TikToks that were published last year. It was basically like a trend where people would post to this one song. It was like, said he likes crazy girls, but he hates when I act crazy. And basically it was just people showcasing their kind of like toxic behavior.
My freaking battery died, bro. Kind of want to hold you guys like I'm vlogging, you know? But it's not really working out the way I want it to. Anyways, where was I? So apparently there's this viral trend on TikTok where people would basically just post their toxic behavior or their like crazy girl behavior to this one song.
Like, honestly, it's one thing to, you know, exhibit like crazy behavior, like being a little bit insecure, a little bit clingy, like whatnot, but for you to literally make a Snapchat score formula, like, not gonna lie, if it's at that point, or do you really trust your partner, and do you even want to be with somebody you can't trust? And sure, maybe it roots down to like personal issues, but that's like a whole other topic in itself. So yeah, honestly, there's like kind of like multiple different aspects of this topic that I kind of want to dive into and get to know your guys' opinion, because I feel like there's so many different like layers and like elements to the term crazy girls, like whether it be women actually being driven crazy versus men just labeling them that because like they're doing normal relationship stuff and they don't want to own up to the fact that they don't want an actual relationship, but they want the attention. Anyways, I have to go get my laundry and then we're gonna continue this topic.
I feel like it just blows my mind because as someone who like, I have worked so hard on myself, like I consider myself to be someone who might have been like borderline crazy or maybe even crazy, I don't know, but like for example, I was the kind of person who would like text my crush in grade 7 like over and over again, sending him like literal diary entries, okay, like literal diary entries, and for some reason I thought he was interested despite him like literally never answering or even opening my messages. Anyways, it takes like that level of delulu to kind of like convince yourself that someone actually wants to talk to you, but I think that's the thing, is like I feel personally as someone who used to kind of be a genuine crazy girl, that when people are like romanticizing a crazy girl and then the second that they like date somebody, it's actually more toxic than you think. Like, I don't think we should be normalizing crazy behavior because it's not healthy. As someone who was kind of toxic, it's really not good for you or for the person in the relationship. And when I say like crazy behavior, I mean basically kind of what I just said earlier with like what I did with the texting thing, but also within relationships, you know, if you feel the need to control your partner, figure out who they're texting all the time, keep a track of their snap score, you know, their location, every single little detail of their life, then I'm so sorry. Like that, no, actually, you know what? That's not a healthy relationship. I'm sorry. It's really not. It's not healthy behavior. Okay, if you were doing that and you feel like you have a need to do that, you either need to reevaluate how you feel in a relationship, whether that's like deep-rooted insecurity or whatnot, or you need to reevaluate the actual relationship, because I know from a fact, like being in a bad relationship, there are things that will drive you crazy. Like if you don't trust them, like if they cheated on you, you will be 10 times more uptight. It's just kind of, I don't blame you, you know, it's like, it's just what happens. And I guess I'm saying that from a perspective of being somebody who had to work so hard in that. And yeah, like my insecurities do come crawling the way back up, especially like being in relationships lately, that's something I've noticed within myself is just oh my god, I just had like the worst coughing fit of my life. There's a lot of like insecurities and a lot of things that come crawling back up that I didn't have when I wasn't in a relationship. And you know, that being said, sometimes it feels like it's literally eating me alive, but then I really need to, you know, like for example, let's say, I don't know, my partner doesn't respond to a text for like hours on end. My brain will literally go, oh my god, this guy doesn't like me, he's leaving for someone else, he's talking to someone else, he's on a date with someone else. Like, I will imagine the worst possible situation, but in that case, you need to, at least like what I do is I take a step back. You know, I have to think, like, is this really what's happening, or is this just trauma coming out, or is it just, you know, me being insecure? And that's a hard pill to swallow. Being able to admit you're insecure, okay, it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's so important to like understand how you need, how, like, what the kind of needs you have in a relationship. It really is just taking a step back. Like, is it them? Is it really the situation I think that is like in my head, or is it just the trauma speaking?
Because you don't love me anymore.
When did I say that?
When you yelled at me for trying to hold your hand in the car.
I didn't yell at you for trying to hold my hand. I yelled at you because you scared a customer off.
Personally, my theory is that crazy girls are often just given that label because their actions seem unjustified to the public eye, but when you kind of take a deep dive and look behind closed doors, you can kind of understand why they might act the way they do. Specifically, if we look at characters in media, I have 3 prime examples here. You will be able to notice that all 3 of them exhibit the same types of like crazy behavior. So for example, there's Cassidy from Shameless. She exhibited signs of unresolved abandonment issues in which she took it out on Carl clearly throughout each episode.
Are you breaking up with me?
What?
Then we have a character named Pearl, who is from the movie Pearl. She has emotionally unavailable parents who invalidate her hopes and dreams, which is also a form of abandonment fear. As for Davy, aka Crazy Davy from Never Have I Ever, she has an unstable relationship with her mother as well, and the parent that she did have a good relationship with, her father, had passed, and this again is a form of unresolved abandonment issues.
What am I doing? What are you doing? We throw dad's ashes in the ocean, and then boom, you turn around and date another.
Are you guys seeing a pattern here? So what exactly do abandonment issues have to do with crazy behavior? So there's a mental health disorder. It's known as borderline personality disorder, aka BPD. And according to the National Institute of Mental Health, it's a mental illness that severely impacts a person's ability to manage their emotions. This loss of emotional control can increase impulsivity, affect how a person feels about themselves, and negatively impact their relationship with others. So for my own personal understanding of BPD, it really is rooted in having abandonment issues, being unable to regulate your emotions in a healthy manner, and also for BPD patients, it's understood that many of them do feel emotions on a deeper level than your average person. And this is kind of why emotions can kind of guide them into exhibiting impulsive behavior, especially the destructive kind.
I hate you!
Hey! What? Hey!
You can't leave me outside.
Hey, what the fuck? You're not gonna die? We're gonna see each other like once a week!
I can't.
Open up the door!
Many would describe having BPD as like, there's something that might trigger these feelings of abandonment, and because feelings are felt on such a deep level, it can be so hard to rationalize or understand these feelings before thoughts are put into action. So for example, let's say for myself at least, it's kind of like what I was saying for myself earlier. Like if I feel a sense that someone might be ignoring me or like not answering my text for a while, or even maybe they just like haven't been, let's say, very present when we're hanging out, or I've just noticed like a shift in the behavior. Often this will lead me to believe that they're going to abandon me, and I don't know what it is. I mean, a part of me knows what it is, but a lot of the time it's like uncontrollable. It kind of just like is an instant, like it's like an instant thought being being flung into my brain. Like the action in itself is not bad. Ignoring someone's text, like not even ignoring, just like maybe being too busy to answer, it's not inherently bad, but through the BPD lens, often we take something as innocent as that and we like see things in black and white that makes us think like, oh, it's only good or only bad. Like let's say someone is ignoring you, obviously, like let's say someone's not answering your message, obviously that kind of leans more on the negative side, so you're gonna only think negative things about that thing. Whereas people who don't have BPD, their thoughts are kind of more on like a broad spectrum, so like they can kind of see things more clearly, whereas with the black and white thinking, you kind of just instantly think one thing is good or not. Like I said earlier for myself, like if something like this were to happen, my instant thoughts are that they're leaving me, they're abandoning me, they lost interest, they don't care about me, they don't want to be friends with me, etc. And even if these thoughts aren't entirely rational, it can be so hard to kind of shift that mentality, especially when you're in what is called BPD rage.
What did I do wrong?
Nothing. Calm.
No! Why are you leaving me if I didn't do anything wrong? I don't understand. I thought you liked me!
And until it's over, someone can kind of be stuck in that train of thoughts, and that's kind of what initially leads to impulsive behavior. It's until they kind of come back and like snap back to reality that they're kind of like, oh wait, like why is this even bugging me the way it does? Like it's not that big of a deal. Now, I'm not like formally diagnosed, but I spent a lot of time in school like doing research papers on it because I did take psychology for a year, and I did a lot of children and youth studies while I was getting my teacher's education degree. So basically, once I started reading up on the symptoms, I was kind of just like, that sounds a lot like me. And it was so weird because it was like I never really took a look at my behavior and my interactions within relationships or with crushes and thought that it was unhealthy until I kind of read up on BPD, and I was like, wait a minute, you're telling me that that stuff's not normal? Like, you're telling me what I'm doing is not what everyone else does? It was like in that moment that I realized a lot of my behaviors were so destructive, and that like here I thought the world was against me, and you know, sure, for a while like a lot of people were, like genuinely were, and that's kind of what led me to think that everyone in the world is against me, you know? Especially when things like, especially when you're younger in life and a lot of things just don't go the way you want them to go. And I'm sure a lot of like my past has influenced my kind of belief that everyone's gonna abandon me, but still I need to take a step back, especially with the people in my life currently, people who are like actually genuinely healthy in my life, and I need to just, you know, I need to remember that sometimes it isn't the person, like this person could be like such a nice person, like my best friend, okay, she is like literally my ride or die, and she's like literally super healthy for me. She's like one of the first like healthy friendships I've ever had, like ever. And same thing with like my boyfriend now, like he's one of like the most healthy people I've been with, actually probably the most healthy person I've been with. And oftentimes like when I am overthinking things, I really have to think to myself, like, are these people really gonna hurt me, or is it literally just my past speaking? Okay, but enough about me. Let's talk about the characters that I mentioned previously. So you can kind of see like these abandonment issues when Cassidy notices a shift in Carl's behavior. It's the whole feeling and empathizing with others' emotions and perceiving their thoughts in such a deep level that it makes her suddenly think, oh my god, he's gonna leave me, which for some people with BPD is kind of the root of the entire disorder. You can also see this deep level feeling in the movie Pearl when she's in the barn with the projectionist. She notices a shift in his attitude towards her, and then she suddenly feels this internal panic that he is going to leave her. As for Davy, whenever she feels triggered by something, you can see how impulsive she can be to do something to resolve these feelings, which in most cases for a while were not healthy ways to cope and resolve her feelings, such as being angry or taking out things on other people. Now, if we really want to bring in BPD terms, I would honestly argue that Davy's FP, or favorite person, was her dad. If you don't know what an FP is, the definition is a person who someone with BPD heavily relies on for emotional support, seeks attention and validation from, and looks up to or idealizes. Now, there's a lot more to FPs than this, so feel free to research about it on your own time if you want to understand better. I feel like this description accurately portrays how Davy viewed and idealized her dad growing up. So when Davy lost her dad, her emotions and abandonment loss affected her so badly that she lost feelings in her legs.
Why did that happen? If I'm not crazy, how did I paralyze myself?
So it's a known symptom that people with BPD can feel their emotions so intensely that it can manifest physically too, which is what I believed happened when she lost feeling in her legs. But like in real life, many people just thought Davy was lying for attention and acting out. Which, because BPD is not often talked about, many people don't even know that it exists alongside many of the other disorders such as depression, anxiety, or bipolar. BPD is also heavily stigmatized even in the mental health community, so often we chalk up any abnormal or impulsive emotional behavior to someone just being quote-unquote crazy. So I guess I'm trying to make this video to help people understand more about the disorder and understand characters in media and kind of be able to put like a background kind of analysis on the kinds of behaviors that they are. Not to say we have to like those characters, but I want to be able to provide more insight into, you know, people who might seem crazy, because honestly everyone's human, right? Like, we're all humans. Everyone deserves love, everyone deserves comfort, and honestly I think a lot of people with BPD, if they were given the chance to like be better or to understand themselves better, like they would take that opportunity, because let me just say, living with that is so stressful. Okay, so that basically kind of like sums up everything I want to say in terms of like understanding like crazy behavior in movies and crazy girls or crazy guys, whatever. On the flip side, there are also women who are genuinely not exhibiting crazy behavior, but oftentimes they get painted as the villain, or they get painted as a crazy person by their partner, because like I said earlier, they just don't want to admit that they are the problem.
I don't think I'm making you feel that way. I think you're making yourself feel that way. Literally a moment that I don't even fucking remember that you're like fucking like holding me hostage over. It's insane.
I'm gonna start off by giving an example story from my own life situation. So basically what happened was I was dating this guy from one of my workplaces in my past, and basically what happened was we were dating in secret for about like 6 months. And it got to the point where I was starting to take the relationship seriously, okay? Like, I'm the kind of person who wants to date for marriage. I'm the kind of person who wants to have the long-term thing. But then on his side, I kind of got the energy that he didn't really want the same thing. And for a while we were seeing each other, I was kind of like, you know what, we'll just see where it goes, because I'm young, he's young, I don't really need to have something very serious right now. But eventually, you know, the feelings did start catching up and I kind of wanted something more serious. And then it came down to this one conversation we had right before breaking up, where I said to him, I was like, you know, it feels like you want me, but you don't want the relationship. And he said, you know, you're probably right. And so I was like, naturally, it just makes sense if we break up. So I just said, yeah, like, I just don't think it's working out anymore. Like, you know, you're in school and you have things to focus on, and I want something more serious. And so we parted ways. I thought that conversation went very maturely. And then a week passed, okay? And then I found out he told, like, 90% of our friend group that I was crazy, and then that's why he left me. How did I find that out? I found out through a coworker. And let me just say, hearing that news was just shocking to me, because for me, it felt like the breakup was pretty mutual, pretty, you know, it's not like he fought to keep me around, you know, he kind of just agreed with everything I said. So I was like, okay, yeah, cool, like, we're on the same page, we can break up. I guess he didn't see it like that, because he, you know, spread rumors about me being crazy, and it was so weird for me, because it's like, I know myself, I know what I look like when I am acting crazy. I did not show him any of that behavior, which is why, to me, I was like, okay, this guy is literally lying. So eventually I did confront him, and I asked him, like, why did you tell everyone that I was crazy? And he said, well, if everyone heard your side, then they would take your side. And, you know, for me, that is exactly why I didn't tell anyone, because I didn't want people to pick sides, right? But what can you do? Anyways, I refilmed this entire story segment, so let's hop back to past Kawa, and she can explain a bit more. Point of this story is that there are gonna be men out there who want to portray women as the bad person because they don't want to look in the mirror and reflect on the fact that they are not being good in the relationship, okay? Oftentimes this also leads to what is called weaponized incompetence. If you don't know what that is, basically weaponized incompetence is, I'll just give an example. Let's say you're married to this man, okay? And then you ask him, hey, can you know, it's like that ketchup trend. If you guys have seen that ketchup trend where it's like, oh, can you wipe up the ketchup off the counter? And guys will just, oh, I don't know how to do it, you know? Because when they don't know how to do something, oftentimes women will just be like, honestly, screw you, it's easier if I just do it myself. So a lot of times men can get away with not doing things because, oh, I didn't know. It's like being romantic. It's like certain guys who will be in relationships, and oftentimes they're just not a very romantic guy, or they don't know anything about romance. Okay, if he wanted to, he would. Like, literally, if you don't know anything about romance, like, granted, maybe you don't know anything about romance, but you can easily just pick up your phone, Google, how do I be romantic, and just do the shit, okay? Girls are not that complicated.
So I'm gonna play you guys a clip. It's from the movie The Breakup, and basically the two main characters, Gary and I think her name's Brooke, they get into an argument because she wants him to help with the dishes, and he just had a long day and just wants to relax, and basically, I'll let you guys just watch a clip here.
Well, I'm gonna go do the dishes.
Cool.
It'd be nice if you helped me.
No problem. We'll get them a little bit later. I'm just gonna hit the streets here for a little bit.
Gary, come on. I don't want to do them later. Let's just do them now. Take 15 minutes.
Oh, I am so exhausted. I just honestly want to relax for a little bit. If I could just...
You know, I don't like waking up to a dirty kitchen.
Who cares?
I care, all right? I care. I busted my ass all day cleaning this house and then cooking that meal, and I worked today. It would be nice if you said thank you and helped me with the dishes.
Fine. I'll help you do the damn dishes.
Oh, come on. You know what? No, that's not what I want.
You just said that you want me to help you do the dishes.
I want you to want to do the dishes.
Why would I want to do dishes? Are you telling me that you're upset because I don't have a strong desire to clean dishes?
No, I'm upset because you don't have a strong desire to offer to do the dishes.
I just did.
After I asked you.
Jesus, Brooke, you're acting crazy again.
Don't you call me crazy. I am not crazy.
I didn't call you crazy. I didn't call you crazy. No,
So you know the saying where it's basically like, I want a husband, not another child to take care of? This is literally it.
You know what, Gary? I asked you to do one thing today, one very simple thing, to bring me 12 lemons, and you brought me 3.
God damn it. If I knew that it was going to be this much trouble, I would have brought home 24 lemons. Even 100 lemons. I know what I wish? I wish everyone that was at that goddamn table had their own little private bag of lemons.
Gary, it's not about the lemons.
Well, that's all you're talking about.
I'm just saying it'd be nice if you did things that I asked. It would be even nicer if you did did things without me having to ask you.
I feel like almost always this situation happens when the man doesn't want to take responsibility for his actions, and instead he uses weaponized incompetence as a tool to kind of get away with things like that. Especially when they have the belief that women genuinely love to do house chores. Like, we literally, like, our sole and living purpose and life existence is to do chores and to be a housewife, when literally, obviously, we know that's not the case at all. I feel like when women are talked about, especially in the situation where they're being, like, called emotional, it's always in a derogatory kind of way. Like, I don't know about you, but I definitely heard a lot growing up that, you know, you're less than because you feel your emotions. Like, this overlying, like, understanding that women are valued less because we feel emotions deeply. I feel like it definitely really makes you think, like, what's so wrong with emotions? Like, I feel like it's a universal thing for people to feel their emotions for the most part. Like, we are all human. We all cry. We all have the ability and capacity to cry. You know, some, you know, it might be harder for some than most, but like, our bodies literally produce what is called leucine and kephaline, which is basically a painkiller neurotransmitter that is a body stress to response. We're literally producing painkillers when we feel sad. Think about that. I also know that, like, through evolution, humans have developed crying as, like, a pro-social behavior to kind of express that they're feeling upset in hopes that, like, other humans will respond with empathy. Like, at least that's what biology says. And, you know, I think about that sometimes. Like, you know, maybe that's why people often say that when you're crying, you're just seeking attention, or you're literally just you're literally just being a drama queen, you want attention or whatever. But I don't know, sometimes I know for myself, I literally cry involuntarily. Like, literally yesterday I burnt myself at work, and the tears just started flowing, okay? And I want them to stop, okay? In my mind, I'm like, I'm fine, I'm genuinely fine, but then I get so upset for some reason. I start crying, and sometimes I wish I could just, like, turn off my tears, and, you know, sometimes I wish I had better control of my, you know, my cryingness, if that makes sense. But also at the same time, I know that a lot of people can't even feel their emotions that much. So, you know, it's like a blessing in disguise sometimes, because some people can't feel their emotions, right? And honestly, after a good cry sesh, I feel so much relief. And some people can't. Like, I generally know people who can't cry because they were just conditioned to not release that, you know?
Now, this doesn't exactly, like, highlight what I was saying earlier about weaponized incompetence, but I can tell you guys a story from, like, my own personal experience. For example, let's pretend that you are the wife and, you know, or a woman, period, the girlfriend, whatever, and you ask your significant other, your partner, to go grab you a green shirt, and he comes back with a yellow shirt. And you say, I asked you to grab the green one, and he goes, no, you asked me for the yellow one. And let's say your friend's standing on the other side, like, she literally witnessed this entire thing, and she's like, no, I heard what she said. She said to grab the green shirt. And then suddenly two are arguing, and then it basically turns into this whole gaslighting situation. That's more of, like, actually, that's more of gaslighting. If we're going to talk about weaponized incompetence, actually, I have a specific example of my one friend. During this party, she asked her boyfriend to go get her, she asked her boyfriend to go get her a ladle. And for, like, because we were gonna have punch, okay? We were gonna have punch. We needed something to pour the punch. He goes, ladle? He was like, ladle? Where's the ladle? Ladle? And then she's like, you've literally been here like 5 million times. How do you not know where my drawer is? You know? It's just they play dumb, okay? And we know, especially if you're dating somebody and you know that they're a smart guy, okay? You know they're a smart guy. And they decide to act dumb because, I don't know, oftentimes guys will do that just because it's easier for them to just get away with not doing something because they're not competent enough than to have to help out. So oftentimes they'll just pretend to not know how to do something so they can get out of doing it. Guys do that all the time with their mothers. It's just a thing that they do.
Where does this guy go?
We've lived here for years. How does he not know where the pot lids go? It's fine. I'll just put it away myself.
I remember I heard this one saying, and it just kind of, like, everything just kind of clicked in my head and just made sense. And the saying was, women are not initially crazy, they are driven crazy. Because think about it, I feel like most women, when they like, at least most healthy women, okay, keep in mind, women who are, like, start out as healthy, when they're in a relationship and they start out in the relationship, things are fine, okay, they function normally. But then when you enter a toxic and manipulative relationship with that kind of a man, you will be driven crazy because you will start questioning everything you're doing, start questioning how they feel about you. And the second you do start questioning how they feel about you, that's when they're kind of like, why are you thinking that? Like, you're literally acting crazy. Like, And it's like I literally have experience being in the relationship like that, because I remember when I started out, everything was peachy keen, everything was good. Okay, this was like one of my exes. This was my long-term ex actually. So, if you know, you know. I just remember there was like moments where it would be like little things. Okay, like he would ask me for my opinion on something, and I would give him my opinion, and then he would ask like 4 other people, and they would say the exact same opinion, and then he would validate everyone else's opinion except for mine. And then when I questioned him about it, he would be like, "Well, I don't know what you mean by that. Like I didn't do anything." And it's like. Like, can you at least try to see my perspective here, okay? And it wasn't even just that, because it was that plus the fact that he cheated on me twice, and the fact that, you know, he was seeing his ex every weekend and never told me that it was his ex till, like, halfway through the relationship. So, like, you know, it was a lot of things that made me question the relationship, but in the end, it always came back to the fact that it was me that was crazy and me that was overthinking things. And because I already knew myself as an overthinker, I think he would just play on that and kind of be like, yeah, you are the overthinker here. And that's the problem. Like I said, it's like men will just do like the most minuscule little things, because women notice, okay? Women notice these things. And if men are very, if like you are a man who is as perceptive as a perceptive woman, you're gonna know what makes her tick. You're gonna know what makes her upset. And if you play it off like you don't know what you're doing, then obviously she's gonna be driven crazy, okay? Like, bro.
You know what's fucked up, Nate? You telling me that you love me and then going and being in a relationship with my best friend.
What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, I honestly, it's like if you think about mothers too, like I understand why like mothers are so like peeved when their son or whatever doesn't pick up their laundry, or their husband. Oh my god, because it's like it's one simple task, okay? Especially let's say you're like a single mom too, or like even if you're not a single mom. Well, I mean, okay, let's be for real. Even if you're like married to a man who's kind of like one of those like lazy dads who doesn't do anything and like doesn't do anything other than work, and he's like not even being a dad, okay? You basically are a single mother, okay? You're a single mother in a married relationship. And in those situations, like, I get it. Like, you're doing everything. You're doing things 24/7, and all you ask is for him to help you put the dishes away, and then he's giving you a problem. Like, so I guess if there's any main takeaways from this video, I guess it would just be that, like, I don't know. I just started thinking about the double standard of what it means to like a crazy girl or to label somebody crazy. Because, yeah, like, there's definitely girls who exhibit crazy behavior. And all I see is those women are just people with unresolved trauma, and I feel sorry for them because I understand what it's like to have, like, all those thoughts in your head. And especially when you're in a, like, let's say you are, like, someone who has, like, if you have unresolved trauma and you're also in a bad relationship like the ones I was talking about, from experience, I will say that is not an easy feat, okay? Because you already know your head, you already know what you're like on the inside, and then you get into a relationship where they also make you question what you're like on the inside, and then you're just basically being double driven crazy by both yourself and your partner. Women are either labeled crazy because they have a lot of unresolved issues going on in their head, or because men just decide that, hey, it's just easier to label her crazy because I'd rather do that than take responsibility for the actions I have done.
So let me know what you guys all think. Do you think that women are initially crazy, or do you believe that they have been driven crazy? Do you think men use weaponized incompetence? Obviously, you guys know my opinion, but I would love to talk about it in the comments below with you. Even if you have a contradicting opinion, I would love to hear it. I do love having these kind of discussions and talking about these kind of topics. So, but other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. This has been Kawa Yeet. I'm gonna yeet out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way. Bye!